All right. Hello. I think we might be live. So I'm going to wait just a minute for my team to confirm that we are live. That would be great. And guys, every time that we figure out the technology, it updates and changes slightly. And then it causes me and Michelle. Well, Michelle, it doesn't seem like you're ever stressed. So I feel like it just causes me stress. And then, anyways, so you know how that goes. I'm excited to be with you guys today. I am looking forward to our pledge drive today. Now, this is kind of a first for us, you guys. Um we have usually I interview someone, and today I'm going to interview myself with Michelle. Because we were trying to think of, kind of what do we want to cover for this pledge drive? What kind of topics do we want to talk about? And Michelle and I were talking about like, well, we really need to talk about these things. And we were like, well, who should we interview on that? And we were like, probably ourselves. So that's what we're doing today. So give me just another quick second because of course,
I
and
see
just so
you
you,
on Facebook.
oh, hi,
I,
Michelle's here. What was that, Michelle?
yeah, that's me.
Oh, we're on Facebook.
Yeah, I see us on Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, so we are totally live. That's fantastic. And we should be on YouTube. But you guys, Rumble's breaking our heart. We have done all the steps that the internet says we should have and we should do in order to get on Rumble, and it just won't work. So it's kind of breaking our hearts, but that's all right. Um, so yeah, this is Michelle, guys. She is going to be part of our pledge drive today, and she's usually kind of the queen behind the scenes, making it all happen and taking it with like so much grace and so much positivity. I love you, Michelle. But let's begin real quick by kind of going through the show's rundown. And then I'm also excited to bring on George later, who is going to be, our Bear Pack interview. So, okay. And George is taking it in stride too, because I was a little stressed. Okay, here we go. Pledge Drive Day 3, Homeopathy for Preparedness, Ready and Resilient. And today we are going to be talking a little bit about kind of homeopathy prepared and beyond, like what should you have and what should you be working towards. Now, guys, we have a goal for 45,000 by the end of our first week, or our this week, not our first week, the week. This is it. This is the week. And we have already made it like a quarter of the way there, which means so much to us. We are so incredibly thankful for your donations, for everything you guys do to keep us going here at Homeopathy Choice. I hope you know that we take your donations as sacred. They mean a lot to us. They allow us to do what we're doing. And I feel like every year we have made more progress and made more relationships in Congress and moved forward in a way that has allowed us to get closer to our goal, which is introduce and pass a bill. And we have a bill that language that we're writing right now that is, we've been revising. It's taken us a year to get to like as close as we are. And so a big thank you to all of you guys who've been supporting us from the beginning. A big thank you to our sponsors, and I'm going to just read them real quick because they deserve that shout out. Homeopathy World, National Center for Homeopathy, Homeopathy Primer, International Academy of Classical Homeopathy, Resilience Naturopathic, Hahnemann Laboratories, Homeopathy Haven, Eden Foods, Taproot Energy, Lytle, Doctor of Homeopathic Medicine, and I don't know how to say that one, Michelle, Kunst.
No idea.
Okay. And Linda
Hi.
Sprankle and OHM. Thank you so much. Okay, and then thank you to our Wednesday sponsor. That's the Texas Society of Homeopathy. We are so thankful for you. And we actually have a flyer that I wanted to kind of share with something that's going on with them. So let me do that real quick. Am I doing good, Michelle? I think I'm supposed to do that. Um,
Yes.
and hang on. Okay. Come on. You guys, my computer keeps overheating and I literally have a pack of meat underneath it. to keep it cool. That's kind of what I'm juggling over here. So nothing, I'll thaw dinner while we're doing this together. Okay, here we go. Here's the flyer. Texas Society of Homeopathy Conference, Mental Health in a Post-COVID Era. It's October 17th to the 19th. I'm super excited about this because Lise Battaglia is a friend of mine. She's very active in the homeopathy community. She's lovely, and she's going to be their keynote speaker. It's going to be at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Shenandoah. So October 17th, they're doing something on Bach flower remedies. So it's really great if you're local to the area or you're even just anywhere in Texas or a state nearby. It would be fun to go and kind of learn some of this kind of more home prescribing stuff. They're going to be talking about all these different things. And then on 18th through the 19th, they're going to have an in-depth study where she's going to talk about anxiety, isolation, the human microbiome, hidden addictions. Lise is very smart, and I really enjoy listening to her thoughts on things. So if you want to register, go to txsoh.com. That stands for Texas Society of Homeopathy. So txsoh.com and register for this awesome conference. I love hearing that these societies in all these different states are doing so many awesome things because, yeah, I think it's really important for the homeopathy community to stay active and to continue doing what they do best, which is be homeopaths, right? And then okay. Oh, yep, I did that. And then a big shout out to Washington Homeopathics. Um, they've been doing a coupon for us since the beginning of our little birth at Homeopathy Choice. They were one of the first organizations to support us. So if you use a coupon code during your checkout, AFHC 2024, that just basically means that you get 5% off your order, and then Americans for Homeopathy Choice gets a little donation. And I know that you guys love Washington Homeopathics because a lot of you guys use that coupon code. So even if someone doesn't know about Americans for Homeopathy Choice, if they're going to order remedies from somewhere, say, hey, go to homeopathyworks.com and use this little coupon code and just spread the word. And it lasts all year. Next year when it updates, well, it'll be, AFHC 2025. We keep it pretty simple. So, do that. And then every day of our pledge drive, we do a really fun raffle. Now, Michelle is in charge of all these raffle prizes. Michelle lovingly, like I've told her, like, Michelle, just like order the stuff and have it shipped to the people's houses. And she's like, no, I want it all shipped to my house so I can put it all inside one box and I can ship it off to them. And so that's what she does. So this raffle prize, oh, this is the one where I donated stuff. Okay, so first we're going to give you some of like what Michelle and I thought were really good preparedness, like emergency accident remedies: arnica, belladonna, lycopodium, nux vomica, symphytum. All of these are donated by Born USA, so big thanks to them. And then I'm giving you guys homeopathy memory work music CD. It's always embarrassing when I'm like the one. Anyways, I have memory work music that teaches you the 19 remedies and then a few other concepts. Actually, I know people whose children, they have to, like, this is their lullaby, and it's not really lullaby music, but they like go to sleep listening to the CD because they just love it. So we're going to include the CD for it, like the physical CD. If for some reason you guys want it and you don't win, you can get it on iTunes, by the way. Just look for the purple app with the white star. That's the iTunes app. And then you can search for Paola Brown and it'll come up. And then I'm also giving away my digital curriculum that I just pretty much finished up. That it's been for sale. It actually ends tonight. But this digital curriculum, funny how that worked out. Like this was not planned. But the digital curriculum is kind of my new program for teaching kids about health and homeopathy. So I call it the digital curriculum, but it's literature based. And so you're going to get the storybook, which is called Evie and the Golden Homestead. So this is part 2. If you've read my first book, Evie and the Secret of Small Things, or did my first program, this is a part 2 to that. If you didn't do my first program and you win this, don't feel bad, because you can do this digital program first. Like you don't have to do my original program first. You can do this one first. It goes in any order. So you'll get the storybook that accompanies the program, the teacher's manual, and you'll get one workbook for whatever level you need. I have like 3 leveled workbooks. And so you just select the level that you need. Like if you have a child that's in 2nd grade, you would get the level 1 workbook. Level 2 is like 4 through 8. Level 3 is 9 through 12. So you just let us know which level you want. I'm probably babbling too much. That's the raffle prize, a $260 value. And so how do you enter the raffle? Anyone who donates anyone who is a member of the Bear Pack who just joins the Bear Pack is someone who donates $25 or more a month to us. And we just really appreciate members of our Sweet Bear Pack because that tells us that we can like anticipate and count on that money every month, and it helps us kind of budget and really plan ahead and forecast what we're doing. We operate on a really tight shoestring budget, and your donations are sacred to us. And so we would love it if you went to homeopathychoice.org, just click on the donate button. You can join the Bear Pack. You can do a one-time donation. Like even if you do $5, you still get entered to win that raffle. And so we would love to thank you for your donations. And so, and keep in mind, if you've donated at any point during this pledge drive, you're entered in all of the raffles to win a prize. So that's kind of fun. Okay, what else? We have our shop at Homeopathy Choice. It has a lot of our paraphernalia. I'm actually wearing my Homeopathy Choice swag right now. And so if you go to homeopathychoice.org/shop, you can use a coupon code during this pledge drive. So today, tomorrow, and the next day, you can still use this coupon code, and it's Prepare 2024. Gives you 10% off at checkout. And our featured item for the week is our kit, make your own remedy kit. So basically what I like to do is I like to dump my remedies from like a bottle that I already have and put it into these little vials. And so then you kind of get 2 for 1. Like you have one remedy bottle, but now you've poured half of it into a new little glass thing. And then you have your extra little kit. So back to us, Paola Brown, Michelle Mulligan, Stocking Up, Homeopathy and Beyond. I'm ready to, I was telling Michelle, I'm like, I feel weird, like interviewing myself. Oh, shoot, we have bios. Oh, for heaven's sakes, don't make me read mine. All right. Paola Brown is president of Homeopathy Choice, blah, 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 blah. Michelle is one of the volunteers for Americans for Homeopathy Choice. She takes care of our monthly supporters who are part of our Bear Pack. So if you've ever emailed for support, it's probably Michelle that's helping you when it comes to Bear Pack stuff. And she organizes our pledge drive each year and works to bring you the Homeopathy Insider every month. So she kind of makes sure that it happens. Basically, she cracks the whip around here, and or blows the horn. Like get going, raises the alarm. She has been using homeopathy to care for her family for many years. She has 4 children and 9 grandchildren, with 2 more on the way, which is an amazing blessing. So happy for you, Michelle. Okay, so that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to pull up our little notes that we have here. Now, you guys, when we do these pledge drives, we will send you at the end of the week all of our show notes, which is pretty awesome. And so anyways, I think that what I like about that is like anything that we reference during class tonight, during basically anything that we reference. Yeah, we discuss what we will have in the show notes, and we'll have like links and attachments and everything. So be sure you become a free member, and that you just do that by going to homeopathychoice.org, and it says become a member, and it's free. It's basically signing up to our email list. We just refer to it as membership because when I meet with Congress, I can say we have this many members, which sounds better than, this is how many we have on our email list or whatever. So, okay. So Michelle, I'm ready. Let's do it. Homeopathy.
Ready.
Stocking up, homeopathy and beyond. So we kind of picked a few different categories. Food and water. What was the next one? We're doing food and water.
Yeah, first aid and medical supplies, power solutions, emergency communication, shelter and warmth, sanitation and hygiene, and just a little note on having cats
Right.
nearby.
Right. Yes. So we kind of were playing with the word preparedness in this, so like kind of prepper a little bit, but we were trying to soften it a little bit, and not be too crazy. But I think that I've really enjoyed this topic throughout my life because I like the idea of being resilient and independent and not reliant on everything else. And it seems like more and more that's probably a smart thing to do. I mean, we got a taste already during COVID, right?
Right. I'm kind of new to it. I've probably only been thinking forward like this for probably the last couple of years. And I tell you what, this last hurricane, I live north of Houston, and this last hurricane that went through, I was just like, I have what I need. And so it was so nice to not have to worry about that.
Um, do you were you there during Hurricane Ike, was it?
I was not. I was not.
Okay, I moved in like I think like to Texas. I moved into Texas like 9 months after. And so people at church and my community and stuff were really talking about like everything they went through. And I think that's really where I got started with preparedness is they were so into it and they were like all like reflecting on like what can we do better? What can we learn from it? But it was pretty intense. Hurricane Katrina, that was a big one for I didn't, I wasn't there.
Big one.
Yep. And COVID was I mean, I think what COVID did for me is it helped me realize how vulnerable we are. Like my husband just mentioned the other day, the dock workers are talking about going on strike. And
Oh,
maybe pre-COVID, I would have been like, oh, big deal. I now know how much we rely on those docks and getting stuff
yes,
off those ships. It's kind of amazing and kind of scary that it just takes one little trip up in the whole chain of events, you know, to kind of make it difficult.
right.
Yeah.
It
So
does.
okay, so let's go with our first one. The first thing you need to survive. I want y'all to type it in the chat. What is the very first thing that you need to survive? I'm gonna actually look here okay, I'm gonna be on Facebook because Michelle usually monitors all this stuff. And so now that you're here and I'm here, I'm gonna monitor Facebook. Do you want to monitor YouTube and see what they're saying?
I
Okay,
can, yes, I'll move over to YouTube.
very nice of you. Let's see if anyone got it right. Oh, you know what? There's a delay. I'm not gonna keep doing this because there's always a delay.
Yeah, we're way behind.
All right, it's okay. It's water. What you should be being aware of and being prepared for is water supply. So, or food supply and water supply. So obviously, you need food, but I think the first most important thing you need to do is water. And so I like having, there's a few different ways to do that. And I think of like, okay, got my family and how much water do you need? You have your animals. So I try and think of a little bit of that and clean water. Like when I had, very young children, like older people, nobody should drink contaminated water, but your gut is more mature and it's not gonna, if you were to
Right.
do something that's not clean, your gut is more mature and it won't be as bad for you as like when someone, like a newborn or a young baby or whatever. So that's really important to have clean water. So I like 50-gallon barrels, which you can actually buy from, the Coca-Cola factory in your area. Have you heard of this?
Right. I have that in the notes. Do you just contact them and do you know what they charge?
Mine were free from the Coca-Cola factory out in Houston. It was. I like made a whole
Good to
trip.
know.
I loaded as many as I could into the back of my friend's truck because we had a friend's truck at the time and I brought them all home and it's great. They do have like a slight little Coca-Cola, like Dr. Pepper smell to them. And obviously like I don't really drink soda pop, but this is kind of a preparedness thing and it's free and it's affordable. So I thought it was great because here's the thing. When these plants use the syrup to make their Coca-Cola or whatever, they can only use those barrels once, Michelle, and they're food safe barrels. So like they're not allowed.
Nice.
Isn't that lovely? My God, all that plastic, how lovely for the environment. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what do you do with the water? Do you add something, don't you, to keep it from going stagnant, or do you just dump it full of water?
I just filled it up with water. At the time I was living in the city, and the city does chlorinate your water. And so so I rinsed it out like many, many times. Like, I actually took like one of those little power washers and stuck the wand into it and I power washed and kind of rinsed it, but it still had that Coca-Cola smell to it. And so I just filled it up. Now, if you live out where you're like have water from your well and you're not gonna have whatchamacallit, a chlorine in it, you might just add, like, look up how much you should add to clean and then put the lid on and then it's sealed. It tends to grow algae, so you might have to like keep it out of the sun. Like just look up little things that you can do. But I think
Right.
having a bit of chlorine is really great. Chlorine is actually a type of gas, and so if you ever need to drink the water and you don't want the chlorine, you just need to put it in a pitcher of a jug and let it just sit and it'll off gas and then it'll be gone in like a day. And then I also had to buy a siphon pump. Do you know what a siphon pump is? It's like a
Yep.
thing that you stick in the barrel and you pump it so it to come out. Because I would stack my water barrels two, like one and then one on top. And I'm like, how am I going to get up there? So I actually had a little pump that like I taped to one of the barrels. And that's what I was planning on doing, and
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, yeah, and then notes that it says to have a reliable water filter and maybe some purification tablets if you run out and you need to quickly fill something up.
yep. So like they have iodine kits for like when you're camping or whatever. So there's lots of different things you can look for. Then another thing that I think is good to have, it's a bathtub water storage. So like they say, like if you have, um, like let's say a hurricane is coming or a storm is coming and you think the city's water might be out, well, you can fill your bathtubs up real quick. And they even make these, they call them like a bladder, a bathtub bladder that you put this big pack in your bathtub and you fill it up. And then it's kind of a little bit preserved and sealed while you're, you know, that like the open
Yeah,
water in the bathtub would probably get grimy and old after a while. So you kind of put it in there. So this is on
I
the
have a
show.
link to that in the notes.
Yep. And guys, by the way, if you have a second, I would do a little tag your friends. Go real quick and start tagging your friends and be like, don't miss this live. Because we are going to get to a really cool, fun. The first aid and medical supplies is going to be really awesome. We're going to have a lot of great tips for homeopathy stuff. Okay, so then food supply. Oops. I have a show and tell. Ready? I do food storage for my family. And so part of my food storage is like obviously seeds for the garden and you want to have lots of that and you want to rotate your seeds and everything. But one of the things I do is like I'm not planning on growing and threshing wheat anytime soon. And so what I do is I will actually do some long-term storage of my dried goods. So and you have to focus on foods that you eat, like foods that you guys eat regularly, for a couple of reasons. Number one, kids who, okay, so like when my daughter, this is a funny story. When my daughter Eva was like 1.5 years old, not even quite two, we were really sick with chronic issues. This is around the time that I discovered homeopathy and stuff. So I was kind of doing the whole like throw the kitchen sink at my chronic stuff. And my son Christian had chronic stuff. And I decided that we all needed to do the GAPS diet, all of us. And so I like went all out. I bought a recipe book and I was doing 1 week of full GAPS, one step each week, which it was intense. And so I wanted everyone to do it, including Eva, and I wanted Eva to eat the soup that we were having. It was really delicious bone broth soup. And even Eva didn't really like it. Like she didn't want to have the soup. So I was like, well, that whatever, girl, too bad. I'm a tough mom. You're gonna have the soup. And so she goes the first entire day without hardly eating anything and just having like water. So she was hydrated, but just like water. And I was like, you'll see. In the morning, she's gonna wake up and she'll eat the soup. She chose death. She woke up the next day and would not eat the soup. We tried like putting it in her mouth, kind of like a little bit, like forcing it a little bit. And I was just like, it's not worth it. So I made her peanut butter and jelly. And I was like, you are not doing the GAPS diet with us. And she did not do it. So the thing is, like, if you were in an emergency situation, people tell me all the time, like, oh, you can have like MREs, just buy this big pack of MREs, they're super cheap. First of all, if you have MREs for 3 meals a day, it will like stop your bowel movements and you have like an obstruction. Like it's only meant to have one a day. And your kids are going to get super sick if you drastically change, maybe for like one meal or whatever. Like, how like when you go traveling, what happens to your gut? It's always a little off. It's because you're not used to the food. So it's really important to kind of make a list of things that you eat and start doing that. So what I do is I get these Mylar bags here. Just gonna make I get these Mylar bags here. This is a Mylar bag. And I feel like this one is filled with like black beans. I'm gonna tilt a wee bit here. This one's filled with black beans. And then I'll fill it up so I'll put the Mylar bag inside a 5 gallon bucket, and it can be like the 5 gallon buckets from like Home Depot. They have the orange ones. I get white ones because I feel like if you're gonna put food inside, it should be whitish, not like orange bucket. But they're all food grade buckets. So you put this, you get your 5 gallon bucket, you put your Mylar bag, get a 5 gallon Mylar bag, and you fill it with beans. And then what you do is you just take your like iron for like clothes and you just iron this shut. Or actually, I've seen really smart people get the hair straightener and they use that to kind of whoop, and you leave like a little pinhole open. Squeeze out the air. Oh, you're supposed to throw in oxygen absorbers. Squeeze out the air. So now there's an oxygen absorber in there, and then you finish sealing it off. Then what I do is I buy these Gamma Seal lids, and that's literally what they're called, Gamma Seal lids. And you put on the blue ring here. It fits on the outside of your 5 gallon bucket. And then you put this lid on top, spin it, and then it's kind of double sealed. And then you just don't use it until you have time. So, or not have time, until
I
you need.
I do a modification of that.
Okay.
I have the 5 gallon buckets. I've got one. I buy a lot of 1 gallon bags just because I didn't want to open a 5 gallon bag and reseal it and open. So I have some things in 5 gallon bags. But I do a lot of these one, can you see it with the
I can.
reflection? I
Yeah.
do these 1 gallon ones. And then I just stuff them in the buckets, as many as it'll fit. And
Mhm.
so that way when I can just take one out and then I only have a gallon to go through. But I brought mine out. Um I do intermediate storage in canning jars. These aren't canned. I these sit in the top of my pantry and I grabbed it here. I have this little thing that attaches to my food saver and
Mm.
it vacuum seals my jars. And so this is sealed and like the lid's not coming off. And then this is like intermediate storage. So it's like rotation. I have what I'm using in my pantry. When that's gone, I go to this. And then when I buy new, I restock my stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's this constant rotation to keep
Yeah.
food in the front of my storage. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, you restock, you pull from the front, restock from the back, and then you're always kind of rotating your stuff. And that goes
Yep.
back to eating or storing foods that you eat, because if you're storing foods that you eat, then you're rotating your storage. You know what I mean? I
Right.
love that
Right.
idea. That's actually good. Like, because in Brazil, when I lived in Houston, like bugs, weevils, like they love to get in and it just keeps it so clean and like, especially in humid climates. We don't have that as much in Idaho now that
I
we're here.
also, when I get a new bag of grain, because I also I bake a lot of our own bread, and so I buy the grain and I stick it in the freezer for a little bit first to kind of kill off whatever
Yes.
might be in there. And then
Yes.
because we have sensitive tummies, then I'll dehydrate the grain and then I'll put it up.
Oh,
So it's like this process. But then some of it's in my jars and some of it's in my Mylar bags.
you should be my neighbor. We've talked about this. I'm like, I don't have time to do it all. But you're amazing. That's awesome. Well, that actually brings me to my next point. If you're gonna try and store wheat or like flour, you really should store the wheat berries, not the
Yeah.
pure. I mean, you can have some stored flour, but you should really store the wheat berries. And then in that case, you need to have a way of grinding your wheat into flour. And in that case, you also need to consider, are you dependent on electricity to grind that? And so, because I remember during World War II, I heard stories of people using their coffee grinder, like that manual coffee grinder, to grind their wheat to make it. So I have an electric wheat grinder that I'm going to get into when I'm not like doing a million projects here. And then I have like a manual one as well that like is on granite stones and you spin it. So anyways, yeah, I think that's really important. And then how did you go about deciding what to store food-wise, Michelle? Because I don't know, I know I have a kind of a system, but did you have a system that you've worked out yet?
Not when I first jumped in. When I first jumped in, it was like what do I use the most of? And so it was really, like pinto beans and rice. And I do have some flour and some gluten-free flour put up away. And I
Mhm.
do use oxygen absorbers with them. I have some sugar, but you do not use oxygen absorbers with your sugar. Uh, all this
Oh wait,
information is
what?
on.
Pardon me?
No, do not. Yeah, you don't
I
use
did.
oxygen absorbers when you're storing your sugar.
I 100% did. Why was I not supposed to do that?
It turns it into a rock.
Oh, yes, it does. I have noticed that my sugar is hard. So I can
Yeah,
just hammer it, just
sugar.
store a hammer with it and then
There you go. Or don't put oxygen absorbers in your bags.
I have it or
It
there.
just they don't it won't go bad. Years and years and years and years and sugar won't go bad.
It's funny, like bugs and stuff, they don't get into your sugar. There's like no
No.
nutrition. It's like we don't want it. They want your meat, they want other stuff, but they don't want your sugars. And that a
Yes.
telltale sign of, the lack of
So,
nutrition. Well, good. Okay, well now I will have rock hard sugar.
but
Good.
now I'm also I'm thinking a little bit more towards what do we use. And there's some on Instagram, there's several people who give a lot of good advice on how to do this. And so I was watching somebody a couple of months ago, and she had hit a good sale on pasta. So she was putting up pasta in her Mylar bags. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And
Like she would
so,
open pasta bag of like elbow pasta and dump it into the
yep,
Mylar. Okay.
yep. And so that was something that her family used a lot of.
Mhm.
And pasta's it's pretty self-stable to begin with,
I know, I was gonna
but
say
never hurts to be extra careful.
extra, extra. Yeah, I agree. That's great. So if you want to get like really precise and really technical, I think starting off like how Michelle said is perfect. What I did is so I'm busy lady, right? We're all busy people. And I have this recipe book that we kind of use and we don't use and we use and we don't use. We're currently on a don't use because we're just working too much on other projects. But what I did is I printed out um 21 days of recipes for my family of stuff we eat. Taco night with, tortillas and chicken. We'll do like, I don't know, just like, I can't think right now, but like enchiladas. We love a lot of Mexican food. And so I'll have like all these recipes. And so then what happens is if I'm busy and I'm working late, they just go, they'll be like, Mom, what week are we on? I'll be like, we're on week 2. And they'll turn to the Tuesday recipe for week 2, or today's Wednesday. So they would turn to the week 2 Wednesday recipe, and they would start doing that because I buy all my ingredients based on that chunk of recipes. And then to like streamline it even more, what I did is for week 1, I had all the ingredients at the front of week 1 that pertain to the week 1 recipes, all the ingredients that I have for week 2 that pertain to the week 2 recipe. So if I had to go grocery shopping, I just know I'm on week 2 or on week 3, and I just pull up my cell phone and I mentally know like, oh, I have, this cultured sour cream. So I don't need to buy that, but I don't have this and this. And so it just allows me to like not have to think so hard. And then but I get sick of foods. And so like I have to rotate through 3 different recipes. So we have a bean soup, a chili. We do a lot of soups with bone broth, potato soup and stuff. And then um, as you're growing your garden, you should really be focusing on recipes that are like coming out of your garden. So like we do a lot of potatoes in our garden. When I lived in Houston, we had a lot of sweet potatoes. So I would have like a baked sweet potato night, things like that. So you get those recipes, you get all those ingredients, you add it up, and then you can start calculating how much you need for your supply. So what I did was I found online calculators, and we have them all on the handout, but there's like familysurvivalplanning.com/food-storage-calculator. Actually, I'll just share my screen real quick for them to have a little visual of what I'm talking about. But like right here, these are 3 different calculators. Oh, I guess we did this one twice, but I have I kind of did put in my family's information for 2 of these just to do a little quick comparison. Just to do a quick little comparison and get an average between the 2 of them. And so that's what I did. So there's 2 different ways. You can add up all your ingredients and you can be like, okay, I have 21 days worth of food is all these ingredients, and then multiply that by however many weeks in a year. You know what I mean? And so you could do that way, or you could simply go to the food, one of these calculators and enter like your number of family members and be like, how much rice does a family of five need in a year? And just buy the stuff, just buy the stuff that is associated with, like the ingredients that you guys actually eat. So, how do you store your dehydrated foods for longer than a year? So Linda, that's what we're saying. If you use the Mylar bag and use the oxygen
Oxygen
absorber
absorbers.
for your sugar, and you seal them and you put it in the Gamma Seal lid with the thing. If you do all that, it will last quite a while. And you can look up and see like how long do wheat berries last in properly food storage, and it's not hot. You're not putting it in your like boiling hot garage, like it should stay kind of climate controlled somewhat. It's going to last quite a while, especially if you're using foods that you eat. Now you're rotating it and you're going through it ideally in a year, right? Because it's a year supply. Like I will do a year supply of some dried ingredients, not everything, but some dried ingredients, and I'll rotate that. But, starting with a 3-month supply is great. Like what I heard a statistic once, like the average American has 5 days of food in their house, and that's high. Usually it's 3 days of food in their house. So think about if like something were to happen, most of our food comes from China, like if we get a break in that kind of supply chain, people are going to be wanting food pretty quick. So, um, okay, let's see if there's any
And
other questions that came up.
there's a difference in storage of the foods between dehydrated and freeze dried also. If you're
True.
dehydrating them, they don't have as long a shelf life as if you have actually bought a freeze dryer and you're freeze drying your food.
They will last even longer, you're saying.
Much longer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a whole nother topic which we're not going to cover. Canning, freeze drying, freezing your stuff. Like that's a whole thing. I will tell you, like in a nutshell, what I do is I try and minimize work. So, if we have a bunch of carrots, I'm gonna do the root cellar method and cover it with sawdust and put it down. And there's ways of doing root cellars in somewhere like Houston where it's warmer. You can do like an above ground root cellar, or there's other things. Anyways, like don't can your carrots, don't can your potatoes. That's ridiculous waste of time. Put it in the root cellar and store it properly, right? And look about how to there's ways to do it. You're supposed to get the sawdust like just a little bit damp so you can't squeeze any water out hardly. But anyways, so it's a whole thing. And then the next thing that's next easiest is fermenting. Ferment your onions, ferment your all those things, like chop them up, do a brine, and ferment them. And then you go to food canning and freeze drying and that stuff. And um, I got one of those freeze dryers. I haven't used it not once because we've just been crazy. But and we don't have a garden yet. Like we're working on our greenhouse and stuff, but I'm excited, Michelle. I met a girl once who came to this class that I was hosting in Texas, and she pulled out this little, it was lunchtime. We were all supposed to like bring your own lunch. She pulls out this little jar, like a little glass jar, like a little mason jar, and in it had like all this tomato powder at the bottom. And then she pulled out a thermos of hot water. And all her kids each grabbed a jar and she like piped down hot water into each of their cups. They put the lid on, they shook it, and they started sipping it. And this is during winter. And I asked her like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, this is tomato soup that I freeze dried from my garden. And so she said what she did is she made this whole big tomato soup recipe. She put the salts, the pepper, she put the cream, like everything that she normally does in tomato soup. And then she's like, so then I get these cookie sheets that she uses in her freeze dryer. And well, she'll blend everything in the blender. Then she'll like take it to the freeze dryer and pour directly and slide in, the tray, pull the tray out, pour, and then she just freeze dries it. So I was like, ah, you're so awesome. I thought it was pretty cool.
I'm
But
hooked. Yeah, no, that's on my wish list.
yes.
I talk about it often. You can ask my husband. He's like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, go buy a freeze dryer. He's like, no.
That's That's hilarious. Yeah, they have like
But
Black Friday sales and stuff, so you'll just have to watch
yeah,
and it's good.
yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of food in a nutshell. I think our next section we're doing is first aid, which is another big chunk. I think we should maybe do our commercial break with George.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
All right.
everything else is a little bit shorter and doesn't require as much talking. So
Yeah, and the next section is when we get into like the homeopathy stuff. So, yes, okay.
yeah,
George is here. Hi, George. How are you?
Hi there,
I'll
doing
turn
great.
my
Okay.
Really enjoyed the preparedness talk because that's a subject that I'm very much into as well. So
Awesome. I love it.
very
I
good
love
thing.
sure, sure. I would hope that everybody watching this gets what it means. The vital force is strong with this one. Where did you get that shirt?
Yeah, I got it from the shop from AFHC. And the truth is not many people have gotten the shirt, but a classical homeopath did. And so I mean that's pretty good.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
Right.
I think it's hilarious. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. George got to see me at my best right before the show because I was like, oh my gosh. And I was having someone bring me like, here's my meat. Here's my meat. That's
How's that coming along?
it's coming great. The top is thawed. I'll have to flip it here because my laptop kept overheating. I was so annoyed. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do at Americans for Homeopathy Choice. And yeah, let's just start there.
Sure, yeah. So I volunteer with the homeopathic, like with the hat team, with I guess homeopathy action team. I'm not going to call it the hat
Hat.
team.
Because
Anyway, you know what
homeopathy
I'm
action
talking
team
about.
is hat, and then we always say hat team. It's like saying team twice, but who cares? It's fine. Just go with it.
Right. So I volunteer with that team. I'm a congressional lead for my district, Representative Mark Green in here in Tennessee. And
Awesome.
also, my wife and I donate monthly to the Bear Pack.
That's really
And I couldn't think of a better cause to support. Um, I was not given a script, so for y'all watching,
no, no, no.
these
Yeah,
are my
you're doing
genuine
great.
reactions here, which is, uh, we thought and we put a bit of thought and prayer into it in terms of, okay, what are the things that are important to us? What are the things that are necessary for our lives to work? And homeopathy is absolutely one of those. And what are the ways that we can make sure that we have continued access to that? And so I guess that kind of falls into the preparedness category that how can you be prepared for like how can you have extra of something if you can't have it in the first place? It'd be like if you know beans or um, grains are if that was no longer available, how are you going to buy extra of that to have that and put it
Right.
into Mylar bags? Well, so we need homeopathy in the first place. And what we concluded was that this is the one organization that's actually doing something about it. And I don't have any better ideas. I haven't encountered anyone else that has any better ideas. And so this is something I feel very good about supporting.
I love it. Well, thank you. That is awesome. And I have to say, like we serve the coolest people at Homeopathy Choice and just the homeopathy community. Like I will sometimes hear about other like influencers have like trolls on their social media. Like it rarely happens to us. And I just feel like we serve the most kind and loving people. And I love it that like you basically pay to volunteer for us. Like you pay
Yeah,
a month
that's true.
volunteer for
But
us.
it again, I'm looking strategically at what are my options here, and I'm thinking, okay, I this is something I care about. This is something I can afford to do, and it's something I have time to do. And so why would I not? You talk about, voting with your wallet. Well,
Exactly.
if I want to have homeopathy to be able to buy, I need to be able to support the process of keeping it available in America. So it's something that I,
Right.
I feel
Exactly
strongly
right.
about.
So how did you come to find homeopathy? Were you like, was it in your family when you were growing up, or did you discover it later in life, like most of us?
Discovered it later. My wife encountered it from a I think a Facebook group at some point, and we had some friends who were into it, and that sort of I guess Apis was the gateway drug. into finding that wow, that this really can be helpful. But that also came about at a very important time because just sharing a little bit about my story. When I was younger, I was severely injured by a known side effect to a pharmaceutical drug that left me with terrible migraines and skin
Oh.
issues and all kinds of problems that I'm still unraveling. But homeopathy was the one turning point that uh, started to started to provide real relief that wasn't also giving me add-on issues.
Mhm.
Um, and so it continues to be just a crucial part of my healthcare. But I guess I have to be frank, I have to be more like I couldn't get through my life as it is now without the help of homeopathy uh, because I'd been very severely injured by pretty much every other option there is out there.
Wow. So you were really not doing well. Migraines can be so debilitating.
Right?
You were probably pretty young when that happened.
Yeah, well, it's a long story that I won't get much into here, but um, the result now is that thanks to uh, classical homeopathy and then also working with some practitioners that incorporate homeopathy into their practice, among other natural modalities. I now live a pretty normal life. I
That's
I do have, I guess, sort of the lifelong condition I now am dealing with is uh, extreme chemical sensitivity, and arsenicum is a godsend in that respect. That when I'm much more susceptible to chemical poisoning than most people, but fortunately, there's remedies that well, like cures like, and
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
who knew?
I think I know, right? Who knew? I love that though, that it's helping you. That's kind of how I feel too. Like my health isn't perfect. I have good months, bad months. I have little bumps in the road, but I live a pretty robust life and I'm very thankful for the health that I have. And I promise you, I was not going to have that were it not for homeopathy. So I love that. And did I hear you say you're in homeopathy school during the flurry of the beginning of the show? No.
No, it's something I've considered before, but
Okay.
got
Okay.
lots of other things going on.
Gotcha. Okay, that's awesome. Well, I love it that you and your wife are like in lockstep with this and that you guys are doing homeopathy. I love it that you're volunteering for us. I think you're amazing, George, and I love your last name because it reminds
Thank
me of
you. I appreciate it.
yes, it's a great last name, darling. But I'm so thankful for you and I feel humbled when I meet members of the Hat team and I hear their story and I hear how they're sacrificing to help step up. And we're getting to an exciting point, you guys. We have been working and drafting a bill. I have sat through hundreds of hours of phone calls of discussing this freaking bill. And like my eyes like glaze over and we have Laura, we have Betsy, our attorney, we have Holly, our attorney, we have Tammy, our attorney, we have Todd, an attorney. Like all of them are just always working so hard on this. And we're really hopeful. Like if I could wish upon a star, like next session, I would love to introduce it. So working our tails off to make it happen. And the Hat team is going to be instrumental in doing that. And that means George is going to be instrumental in Tennessee to do that. And you know what they're doing, you guys, is they're building relationships, right? Like with your member of Congress. How has that been to kind of get to know your office and build that
Yeah,
relationship?
well, it's really unique and eye-opening, and I have a greater grasp for how our government operates and how uh, what's interesting is that the staff that work with our legislators, they're normal people doing normal jobs, and they're actually very eager to hear about the needs of their constituents. Um, and so across the US, we've had different success with different legislators, some of which we would never expect would have been supporting our cause, but some of them really do get behind it.
You never,
And
right.
go, yeah,
You never assume. People will tell me all the time, like, oh, I would join, but my congressman sucks, and this is why. And then come to find out they've actually been quite supportive. And it's just really about you making a relationship. And yeah,
Right. And for anyone who's on the fence about, is this something that you might be interested in volunteering with for where you're located? Um, it you don't know whether your legislator is going to be the one who's going to really uh, get behind legislation to help make homeopathy uh, truly available in America. And um, and so no matter whether you are uniquely successful with the legislators that you happen to have, it's going to be somebody, and that might be you. So it's worth it. It
Exactly.
takes a little bit of time, but it's not a difficult or stressful thing. It's mostly just setting aside a small bit of time to check in with your team, and um, I guess
It's not,
go ahead.
yeah, no, it's not a lot of time. It's just a matter of setting it aside and sticking to it and getting it done.
That's right. Yeah, these aren't hard things, and the instructions are pretty clear. You all have done a great job of helping train everybody. But it takes a deal of bravery, and it takes a deal uh, of regular commitment. But if you do that, it's amazing what happens. If there's anybody that's on the fence about donating, my thought would be look and see, okay, realistically, what can you donate? What are you able to give? And to absolutely do that. As I mentioned, I don't have a better plan for homeopathy. And I know that there are people out there who would love to see homeopathy go away, would love to see it be even less available than it is becoming now. So we've done a lot with a little, and we've with just a team of volunteers, we've we've gotten language in the or we've gotten report language in the Senate and House Appropriations bill this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any grassroots organization that's gotten that far in so few years. Like my legislators didn't even know that homeopathy existed until now, and now they do. So we're making progress.
Well, let me tell you guys, what you do is you go to homeopathychoice.org/hat. I'm going to kind of just show you guys that page real quick if you're interested in signing up. And if you just scroll to the very bottom of the page, just scroll. Oh, I refreshed it. It's because I'm signed in, but this will be a form that will let you sign up for the hat team. I don't know why it's saying that because it didn't say that a second ago when I was just looking at it real quick, but that's where you'll register to the hat team. And then also, if you're curious, like these are the states where we don't have a state captain and without a state captain, it's really hard to organize a really strong grassroots team. But look how awesome. Look how this is not a huge list. This is a very doable list of state captains that we need. And so if you're in any of these states, just know that we do need your help. Like I already got a call from someone. There's a manufacturer out in Rhode Island who made a connection with their member of Congress, and we didn't have a hat member to connect them to that already had an established relationship. So we really, really do need your help to do that and to join. And so yeah, this form was like literally working 2 seconds ago. So hopefully it's just on my end, but
Oh yeah, it's working over here, so you should be
okay,
good.
good. So it's
Yeah.
probably just because I'm signed in. So um okay, well, very good. Well, any closing thoughts before we kind of get back to the show here?
Well, I think homeopathy and preparedness go hand in hand. Obviously, you're going to talk more about that from a remedy perspective, but without water, you don't have homeopathy. So
Right, that's
that's
right. There you
doubly
go.
important.
Gotta have your water. 50-gallon jugs of water so you can
And
have
you can
running.
make a lot of homeopathy with that. Anyway,
All right, awesome. Well, thanks so much, George, for being here. We think you're great. Tell your wife hello and thank her for letting us borrow you for a little while. So thank you so much.
of course, thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, Michelle, we're going to come back to you in just 1 second. Well, you can turn on your camera. That's great. I'm going to share my screen. Wait, wrong one. That's the Texas Society of Homeopathy and what they're doing. Uh, Michelle, I lost it. I lost my slides. I had them here a second ago. Okay, give me. It's here somewhere, you guys. I have screens up because I was pulling up the homeopathy action team. Okay, here we are. Here should be. Okay, share. Slideshow. Okay, that was us. Okay, we're doing a raffle. You guys are going to be getting a bunch of remedies: Nux vomica, lycopodium, belladonna, arnica, symphydum. And then you're also going to get a bunch of stuff of my homeschooling curriculum. I just came out with a new digital curriculum. The pre-sale actually ends today, and then it goes like in a vault thing. So I'm very excited to be offering this to you guys. And one person who donates, and this could be anyone that's donated up till this point, anyone who's been a member of the Bear Pack, anyone who's joined the Bear Pack, you guys all get entered in the raffle. And it's just our way of thanking you. It's our way of thanking you guys for tuning in. It's our way of thanking you guys for donating and putting your hearts into this and a few of your dollars into this. And so we're so thankful. And so, if you're curious about my curriculum, you can go to paolabrown.com to learn more. But today's the last day that I'll be selling it, then it goes in a vault. But hopefully you'll just win it, and that would be great. So, oh, and that's right. During the break, Michelle does the raffle for everyone up until this point, and that is Lisa Wink. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so excited. We're going to be giving you a copy of my digital curriculum, my memory work music CD, and all those remedies. And so please contact Michelle. Her email is bearpack@homeopathychoice.org to collect your prize. And I know Michelle will be reaching out to you too in case you haven't seen this yet. But big thank you for donating to us. We just so appreciate you. We're so thankful for you. So that's really wonderful. And then remember that our goal for the pledge drive is 45,000. We're at 10,000 right now. And we would just be so incredibly thankful if you guys could help us get to that goal. We would be super, super thankful. So, okay, let's get back to kind of the discussion. Stop share here. Let's get back to the discussion and talk a little bit more. Now we're going to shift from food, right, Michelle, into something else.
First aid, homeopathy, all that good stuff.
Okay, well, why don't you kick us off as we do this?
The first, just having a good first aid kit will be important, just because if you can't get to an emergency room, if you sprain something or cut something, you need to have supplies at your house that will help take care of those things. And one of the things I grabbed mine, but it's almost empty, is calendula salve. I cannot tell you what a miracle this stuff is. It's just, can I say, healed things? All sorts of, the cuts and abrasions and all of that. But my dad has me make him some of this once a month, and he uses it on his psoriasis. And he says it's the only thing that keeps it at bay. And
that's amazing. So do we get the recipe for that?
Yes, it's part of the thing. And I always have, here's my jar of calendula oil. I do a slow method, but there's also a rapid way, and I put both of them on there. And this is my bag of calendula flowers. I just buy them. You can get them at a lot of health food stores. I think I ordered this one off of Amazon. So I'm never without my calendula. So that's the big thing that I make as far as first aid. And then just the things that you have, a lot of times will do double duty, like having hydrogen peroxide in part of your first aid kit. Well, it's a wonderful disinfectant as a cleaner, those little brown bottles that you buy with hydrogen peroxide. The spray
Costco has
nozzles,
big ones, right?
pardon me?
Doesn't Costco sell like big ones?
Yes, I think so. I think
bigger packs.
But those spray nozzles that you get on spray bottles fit those brown bottles.
Oh, wow.
And so take that off one, put it on the other, and you've got a great cleaner that disinfects. So it's nice to find things that do double duty when you're stockpiling things.
Yep, 2 for 1. And then, well, can I share some of my things, or did you want to share more things?
Yeah. No. You tell.
Well, I agree on the calendula tincture, so I set that aside, but you already covered that. Some kind of odd things that I like to add to my remedy kit or my emergency kit. This thing that I'm unwrapping is very necessary. The other day I was chopping wood with I call it the chop saw, but it's really just one of those miter saws that and then you pull it down and it cuts. Well, the wind kicked up and a little tiny piece of sawdust got into my eye and we could not for the life of us find it. I even went to the eye doctor the next day and he looked, like he did the thing. And then I was like, and he was looking at the big giant thing with the light and the magnifying. And he's like, I can't find it. So he had to drop some dye in it. And when he dropped the dye in it, it tinted the sawdust. And then he was able to find it. And I spent like one miserable eye with like, oh, this, this tiny little thing just bothered me so much, which reminds me of Americans for Homeopathy Choice being a tiny little thing that's causing all kinds of trouble to, the alphabet agencies that are going against us. So that's a nice little, but I remember like watching an old movie where they would like use this cup. And I feel like if I had like, I had a little shot glass, but the shot glass was like too big for my eyeballs. And I kept like pouring water, like spraying water, like nothing helped. But I really thought if I could just get like something in my eye. And I didn't have the eye bright herb. I had ran out. So I got the eye bright herb. I did use like the homeopathic form of that, which is what? Euphrasia. I did put like
Frasia.
Euphrasia C in water to try and like, but I really wish I'd had this. And I know, Michelle, I know it would have helped if I had this cool thing. So I like
Flushed it right out of there.
Yep.
Well, I put the link to that in our papers, so they'll be able to click and buy.
Yes, and keep in mind that I wonder, the world that we live in is so toxic. Now I'm just wondering, what if this is a lead glass? Do you think it is? Anyways, I'm
There's a
gonna test
test
it.
you can do.
Yeah, you can
I
get
don't
the
remember what it is.
it's like, anyways. But I think it's great. They sell plastic ones. I wanted a glass one, but now I'm wondering if I shouldn't have done that. So, oh my gosh, the world we live in. And then the other thing that I actually just ordered, especially for this pledge drive, because I just keep forgetting to get it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get it. Then it'll be here for show and tell. Do you guys know what? Oh, oh, look, it comes in the case. I'm just taking it out of the case. Do you know what this is?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. What is it?
It's a oximeter. Pulse oximeter. Yes.
Very good. Yes, and it's my dog is barking, ignore him. It's to measure your oxygen. And I thought like, oh, once COVID is past, we don't need this anymore. But I'm finding that a lot of people, especially this season, have needed this. And I think if they get below like 90, they're supposed to call like, get emergency help. Is it 90, Michelle?
It's 90. Yeah. Anything below 90, you need to be seen.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's really helpful to have, just kind of these tools. It runs off of a little bit of battery. So you're definitely good. And this is just what is it? AAA battery. So I provided a link to the one that I got. I just picked the one that had like the most reviews on Amazon. I just think nowadays, especially with these special little gifts we have from, you know, I'm trying to not say words that are going to get us flagged, but from these stupid things that we have to worry about. I think it's really good to have add to your first aid kit. So I think it's definitely something you can do. Now we're going to get to the fun stuff, which is the homeopathy stuff, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I heard a homeopath once say, she who has the most remedies wins. It's true. Don't you think?
It's true. It is true. I'm in front of my storage.
Oh yes, walk us through it. Do it.
Well, I used to these little cabinets here. There's four up there, and then I've got two more down here. They hold 30 each, and I used to have bigger
Well,
ones that
30 what?
held.
30 little like boron bottles?
They're 30 drawers. They're 30 drawers. Just 30 little drawers. I don't know if you can see. And I
Hmm.
just so this I grabbed Hypericum. And so I have all my potencies in here, a 200 and a 6 because 6 is good for dental things. FYI. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I just keep all my potencies in one drawer. Now some of them like arnica, I have two drawers worth because I tend to collect a lot of remedies.
Right. I know. You just kind of end up.
So
Mhm.
yeah. So I switched over to these 30 drawer ones when we built the shelving because my big 64 one wouldn't fit. But I put links to both of those storage units in the paperwork, and it's so helpful to have a place where I can go to in my office and grab a remedy. My grandkids know one of my little granddaughters, if she bumps her head or something, she comes into my office over to where the remedies are and lays on the floor with her mouth open.
That's great. I love it.
Knows what's coming.
She does. I love it.
So yeah, just if you're as you're caring for your family, there's just keep notes. Paola has a wonderful journal on her website that's beautiful and super functional. And as you're buying and stockpiling on your remedies, not everyone needs berberis for kidney infections. It's kind of handy to have some, but you may not need to stockpile it necessarily. So you just know what your family needs, and go from there, and then just start buying them. I know there's a lot of companies that run good sales. Having a good kit is also very nice. Um, I put some links in here. Washington Homeopathics has wonderful kits. Hahnemann Labs, Taproots. Those are the three links I put, and you get to choose, which potency. If you want 50 remedies, if you want 100 remedies, and those are very much worthwhile investments. And
Yeah.
I know Washington, I didn't check on Hahnemann or Taproots, but I know Washington also sells the little refill vials. So if you use all your arnica, you can just go and just buy the arnica to refill and put that bottle back in your kit.
Yep. Yep. Okay. You keep talking. I'm going to go grab my case real quick. It'll take me like 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll keep talking. And I didn't grab it, and I'm so sad because my sister-in-law gave it to me, and it's a wonderful little leather thing. It's my travel kit. And so I just went through and decided which remedies that I want when I travel. And so I have those, poured some of my remedies from bigger bottles into littler bottles, and they're in my travel kit. And they're very handy. So, okay,
Good.
I've been yakking, your turn.
Well, I just thought I'd show them what I use to store my remedies in. I actually like yours better, Michelle. I feel like yours is a little bit more accessible. I have these IKEA cabinets. You know the Heminus one that is all
Yeah.
like it's pretty nice, pretty affordable. We bought a bunch of those when we lived overseas in Europe because we had this awkward room, and so we just got a bunch of them when we were there. And anyways, these come from Walmart. And it's a mainstay like storage cube that has a lid. And I don't know if you can see, but like the lid doesn't quite fit totally perfectly, but it's actually, I'm holding it weird, but it fits pretty darn close. Like that's pretty close, right? And so, if you get the short one, because there's one that's twice as thick as this, so it's too tall. So this, if you get the short one, the remedies fit perfectly standing up in them. And then,
Oh, wow.
yes, but mine is a nightmare because I started labeling like the lid of some of them, but
Yeah.
mine's because I didn't continue. You can buy stickers that will fit on the top of these. And so I really need to you just need to come visit me and help me organize this. It would be such a fun project. But just
It would.
then I would have the outside labeled like A through F or whatever, you know what I mean? And then I would know. Then they actually so then they sell this one, and if you get a second one, so you have two identical sitting next to each other, it's just a little bit wider. Then they also sell a really large one where both of these would nest on top of it. And the large one comes in this thickness, or it can be double thick. So the double thick one is where I put a lot of my herbal tinctures in there and kind of lay them down kind of in a row. So the double thick one, I might do that. And then the thinner one, I will stand up my remedies, or again, maybe do some tinctures and stuff. So I got these when we were living in an RV, and I put all my remedies under the king size bed that like lifts up. And so this was a really great way for me to just grab them. And then if you wanted to fit two of these stacked high, it fits in that Heminus drawer. Like it's the dresser. I have the glass cabinets. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to lift it. See, there's one right there. So
Oh
the
yeah,
upper
yeah, I
is
see
the
it.
glass doors and the lowers would be, I don't, would be drawers. And so this fits in that like too high, too stacked too high, you know. So that's what I do. And I do think I really need to organize this because I really think that having your remedies quickly accessible. I waste so much time like, dump it out, go through it all like it's ridiculous. So I have to do it. Um yeah. So what I would recommend doing is starting with the most commonly used remedies. Um and get plenty of those and then work your way through and start adding kind of the more unique remedies that are unique to you. Like my daughter or my son has used this random remedy called scandium. Not very common, but it's come up for him and my husband in the past. So, you know, then you stock up on kind of some of those remedies that are particular to your family.
Right. And we live uh rurally on some water, and snakes can be a real issue. So I also have the remedies that I bought for like cottonmouth and rattlesnake and things like that just to have on hand. Because my grandkids get out there and they play in the tall weeds and stuff, and so far so good. No one's needed anything. But we would still be making a beeline to the emergency room, but something to give them on the way. Uh, it's just nice to have stuff on hand.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, I think a really great way of like identifying what are the top remedies is I will go to like one of these kits that what we have in the handout, like the Washington Homeopathics or the one on Taproots. They'll have 100 remedies listed. And then I start kind of reading through them and kind of highlighting, okay, that one's super important. It's a good way to like jog your memory and highlight and then start, you know, getting some of that. And different companies might have different amounts that they sell. I know like Hahnemann Labs. I think they sell like different sizes. And
I
so
do.
yeah, so if it's a very common remedy, I might order like a larger quantity and then and then refill that or whatever. I remember once I went to a homeopath's office and he had this big bottle of standard homeopathic like arnica and I was like, "Oh my gosh." But, you know, standard is no more. So anyways, I think it's a good thing to do. So so then
I,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the other things are pretty much self-explanatory, being prepared for power outages, whether you
Wait,
get
real
a
quick.
generator.
I want before we do that one, the Jace Medical. I think this is helpful. I've
Oh, I did
heard,
pass that over.
yeah,
You talk about that because you've done a lot of
well,
research on that.
not really a ton of research. We don't have need for prescription drugs, but some of you people in your home might have need of a prescription drug where you have a limited supply. Like a good example is insulin if someone has diabetes or something, right? And so I was listening to a podcast once they mentioned this company called Jase Medical, Jase medical.com, and they kind of help you stock up on some of these harder to get things. I have my family and I have not used an antibiotic and I can't remember how many years, but do I think it's a terrible idea to have some on hand in case you have an emergency or whatever? You know, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Hopefully you don't need it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, I do know Jace Medical like didn't have insulin like for Texans, so it does matter what state you live in. So you'll just have to call and find out what they have that's available for your state. And there's got to be other companies like that. Like they can't be the only one to kind of help people stock up, but like they were advertising specifically to like help you stock up. So I thought that was good.
I was on their website, and they you can do antibiotics, but then they also do ongoing medications for different health conditions. So I didn't
Mhm.
ask them because I'm the one that asked about insulin in Texas because I have type 1 diabetes, but and have been on insulin most of my life. But they weren't able to do that for me. But they said that they definitely would keep an eye on that. I don't think they service Texas at all. Uh, but anyway, they
Well,
do a
I guess
lot of different things.
yeah, my point is just because they didn't have it for Texas, they might have it for your state. So, if you're in
Right,
Tennessee or whatever, and they can't be the only company. So they can put in the
right.
time, make an effort, and find yourself a larger supply of something, especially if it's saving medications like insulin. So I keep like every few months, like, did you find one yet, Michelle? Like I just want her to have all that she needs to make sure she's gonna be fine. Okay, so let's talk about power solutions. So a lot of people will tell me, Michelle, oh, I've got a well. I have a well. But do you have the ability to pull water out of your well if there's no power?
Your pump runs on electricity.
Yep. Yep. And
Yep,
so
yep.
there is, I was at a homesteading conference and there was a guy there that I thought his pump was great. It's called Apocalypse Pumps. I think it's a great name. You're not going to forget that. We should add that to the handout. So you can stick it down your pump and then pump it out and everything. So I think that's really great. And then you can have solar power to generate electricity. Like I know some people who couldn't afford like all of the solar panels or whatever, but they did get a solar panel specifically to connect their pump of their well to. So I think that's a really good place to start. And we should actually add this to the handout too, the apocalyptic pump thing. And we should add, Michelle, I worked with a company called Signature Solar, and they're gonna like we saved quite a bit. Like I think we saved, I'm not even gonna say because I can't remember my numbers, but we saved several thousands of dollars by getting some of our solar panels through them. Because they're kind of a little bit more DIY, and they have a whole department that will help figure out how many panels and how much battery you need for whatever it is that you're trying to set up. So like I really like them. I actually heard about it from my friend Joy, and like her husband's all into this stuff. So like my husband and I talked to him and it felt like drinking water out of a fire hose because this is like new to us, but we were able to
Right,
talk to their
right.
design team and they determined like, okay, you need this many solar panels, this much battery. They like have you pull your electricity bill if you're wanting to do it for your whole home. So, I thought it was really good. So I thought that was a good company to work with. They actually messed up our order twice. And I was so scared that they were going to be dishonest and be like, oh, you snooze, you lose, and kind of like ruin everything. They were so honest, fixed everything,
Right.
so I was just really impressed with the company as not the part that they messed up, but the part that they were honest. I was like, you know what? I'd rather work with someone that messes up and fixes it than being a sleaze bag. So, yeah. And then you have a little note here about like batteries and stuff. Why don't you take that part?
And again, this is just common sense stuff, but pulling it off the website, just batteries for your flashlights or flashlights that are solar powered. I was telling my husband what we were talking about, and he ran and got me his little toy. This is also under emergency communication. It's hand crank,
Yeah.
but it also has a solar panel, and
Mhm.
then it also has a USB port and a C, whatever they're called, the little C ones, the new ones.
USB
And it's a radio and it's a flashlight and it does
cooks
all the
dinner.
things. And
Just kidding.
wouldn't that be nice? But I was cranking it and I got a radio station to come in. But the you don't have to crank it to listen to the radio station. The crank just kind of powers it up and charges the battery if you
Yeah.
don't have any other power source. So
Yeah, I
either way,
think that's great. And
my husband's
actually,
preferred.
another thing that we should add to the list, and see, this is how it goes, Michelle. Like we sit there and plan and think. As far as power goes, like, okay, let's say you have an electric oven, and so your oven runs on power. So obviously you can get solar panels to run that oven if you were to have no electricity, right? However, it's kind of a waste of energy because there's a lot of other ways that you can prepare your dinner and not drain down that electricity, even in the middle of winter. So there's this thing called the sun oven that is so cool. It's like
Yes,
this. Have you heard of this? Like you just
I
open up
have.
and it's all these like it's basically like sheets of sheet metal basically that opens up and it can generate enough heat that you can like bake cookies in it. And then of course there's like Dutch ovens that you can use firewood for. So like if I was in a situation like we didn't get enough solar panels to just like live luxuriously, we have just a few to kind of run some of the things like your freezer, refrigerator, like some of those things so that your frozen goods don't go bad. But it would be a bummer to just kind of drain down your battery on something that can just be used with the sun's heat outside. And actually out here in the country where we live, people will cook outside like in their solar ovens, in their Dutch ovens in the summer because it's so dang hot and they don't want to heat up their house because my house has no central air or heat. And so in the summer, like if I'm turning on my big cast iron oven, like it's gonna just be so hot, you know.
Right.
So we should add
Right.
that to the list. So
Yep, I wrote it down. I will add that.
emergency
Um,
communications.
emergency
Yeah, you did the
communication.
crank,
Yes,
you did the crank radio. Actually, I want to add another thing. I'm sorry, I didn't put it down. We'll add it to the list. I have a son. I can't do it all, but I have a son that I made him ham radio licensed. My little Christian.
we've been talking about that. Yes.
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 And it's so interesting. It's a really great homeschool goal if you want to do. He got his first level, and next year he's going to be working on his second level ham radio license. It's like the old fashioned, like big antenna, you know, radios, or you'll have a whole system in your house. So I think it's just really cool to have that ability. And the ham radio guys are the coolest. Like we have a club out in Huntsville, Texas when we were living there. And they were just like all, you know, veterans of the Army and really, really sweet, really, really friendly, like just the best of the best, like cream of the crop guys, and such a great influence around my son. And he just loved, my son's quiet. He would just sit, they would meet at Denny's every Saturday. And then on one Saturday a month, they'd meet at the clubhouse. It's not the clubhouse. It's like they rent like a space in the city hall or whatever it is, and they meet there for their official meetings and they have their non-official meetings at Denny's. And he would just sit there and just pleasantly just like listen to their stories and talk to them. And sometimes they talk to him. And so look up your local ham radio club. And, you know, if you don't want to add something to your list, make your kid do it for you and have him be your designated person, communications person.
Yes.
I thought the test was kind of hard. He had to memorize a lot of like mumbo jumbo that meant like nothing to us. We just bought an app and it had like what to quiz you on and stuff. And literally, I just told him, like, just memorize these random words and these terms, just memorize them. Because after you get your license, then you get to start using it and it all makes sense. But before, you're not supposed to use
Yes.
it. So you just have to memorize it. But the good news is, Michelle, you don't have to memorize Morse code like you used to.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, that's real handy because before you used to have to memorize Morse code to become ham radio licensed. Isn't that crazy?
I did not know that. I did not know that. My husband's dad had his ham radio up license. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, so cool, super cool. Okay, shelter and warmth. Let's kind of go a little quicker because I'm just babbling
Yeah, we
away.
gotta we gotta plunge through this again. Blankets, sleeping bags. Make sure you have enough for everybody. A way to start a fire. I on Instagram I saw this really cool thing that they made fire starters out of. So just a little deep dive on internet can teach you all sorts of stuff. And probably one of the other more important things to talk about though is sanitation and hygiene because if you can't keep things clean in your house, then that just kind of invites illness into your home. And so you need to find ways to keep things clean. And we've already kind of touched on some of that. I make a lot of my own cleaners. And so I back to the double duty things. Like the hydrogen peroxide. If it's in your first aid kit, then it's also great to spray on your counters to keep things clean. I make a cleaner that's just vinegar and I soak lemon peels in it. And so the oil from the lemon kind of gives it a good grease cutting factor to it. And it's probably one of my all-time favorites. Liquid castile soap, that would be another good thing to stock up on, which I had grabbed a bottle here that I go through this stuff like crazy. Um, it's good just like by itself as a hand wash, as a body wash, all that stuff. But you can also add it to things and make cleaners.
Yeah.
All those recipes are included also.
Yeah, I know I want to just kind of chime in on the fire starter that you mentioned. They have these cool, like, it's like an iron flint. Anyways, and then you do it and it sparks like so good. That one. You know the one that we have, Mateus, it's on a stick and you go Mateus, you guys, I hope you all know that Mateus is preventing you from seeing this wonderful thing because he's tired and he won't get it. So I'll find it. I'll find a link to this little, it was a family business and they make it, but I'll find the link and we'll include it. But it's like a stick, like a metal stick with a metal other piece. It's flint and steel. That's what it is. That's the words. And then and it sparks like magically. And so it's
And
great.
you have little stuff. George, who was just on air earlier, he just commented, and this is so true, that in hotter climates in the summer, finding ways to stay cool can be just as important as ways to stay warm in the winter. And
Good point.
that's
Yeah,
very
have you
true.
seen that redneck cooler by Jeff Foxworthy?
Yes.
Totally works. I hear it totally. Yeah, but I actually had when we lived in Houston after Ike, we had solar not solar, yeah, solar powered fans and battery operated fans, just like the little unit that you just put like the big fat, whatever they are, D size batteries. We
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
put them in there. So I would have under everyone's bed a fan and the batteries. And I think that I agree that is important to stay cool. Yeah. So look,
Yeah,
when I told him
makes
to bring a fire starter, he brought me this, Michelle.
what you that.
I know you got me this. Michelle gave me this. It's really cool. It's like this is not emergency preparedness, but it's good. It looks like a taser almost. See that? Anyways, we love this, Michelle. We love this. And you gave it to me for my birthday and I love it. So, but
I
he
did.
thought I was
I
talking
did.
about this. Like, that's not what I want. I want the other one.
Okay.
So,
I
okay.
think we've pretty much covered everything on the list other than emergency cash. Have some
Yes, put it.
because
And actually emergency cash and then make photocopies of your passport, make photocopies of your, in case that disappears. I think that's good to not even because of, emergency, but if someone steals your car or whatever. So
right,
yeah.
right.
Well, we crammed a lot. That was kind of long. I'm so sorry, but look, everybody on Facebook is still here except for like maybe one person. So yay. I'm glad you guys stuck around. Good information. To me, like when it comes to preparedness, Michelle, it's not an anxiety thing. It's not a fear-based thing. It actually brings me great joy and peace because I know I'm prepared. I know I've done what I can and I don't stress about it. And it just, that's how
Right,
I,
right.
so don't be anxious. Allow this to be a very joyful thing for you to do to be prepared.
Exactly, exactly. It makes me feel, it gets me excited to know that I'm doing something to care for my family.
Mhm.
Just kind of an extension of being a mom and a
Exactly.
dad, because my husband's very much involved in this also.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, okay, guys, this was fun. Okay, let me go back to my little slides here, Michelle, that you loving
I'm gonna
these.
sign off. See y'all
Okay, sounds
later.
good, Bill. We'll talk to you later. Oh, wait, there, sorry, showing our email. Okay. So, to finish up, let me do the slideshow here. Big shout out to Lisa Wink. You did win the raffle for today. You're getting my memory work music CD, my digital curriculum that I just came out with, which ends today. The pre-sale ends today. And all of these awesome remedies. So please contact bearpack@homeopathychoice.org to collect those prizes. Our goal, guys, is to get to 45,000. And we would just be so thankful if you could do $10, $100, whatever you can gift, we would be so thankful. And I hope you know that your donations are sacred to us. It's going to allow us to move forward with our work. And this is a big year, you guys. This is a big year. The wheels of everything kind of have to turn slow. That's just the nature of this. But we are pushing forward and we are going to do this. And our goal is to get that bill introduced. And I'm really hoping it'll be this next session. So we really need these donations. It's go time. It means a lot. And a little comment from Brenda here. She's saying, thank you. Great information. Been working on these items for a while. I hope you felt good, Brenda, that you had some of the things like when I watch preparedness things, when they bring up something, okay, I did that. Okay, good. I did that. So that's always nice. And if you're brand new, that's okay. Start with water and then work and then food and do like 3 months supply of food and kind of work your way up. And then remember, if you're a member of our Bear Pack, you've been entered in the raffle for tomorrow already. And anyone that donates from now until tomorrow's show, you're going to be entered in the raffle for tomorrow. We'll pick your name during the show. And then don't forget, you can go to our homeopathy action team. It's homeopathychoice.org/homeopathy-action-team. And you can join our our hat team. So I'm so excited and thankful for you. And then please, please donate. This is a pledge drive. This is how we get the bulk of our money for the year. So we are so thankful for you. Okay, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. And let me tell you who's coming tomorrow real quick, just before we go. Let me look. Okay. Oh, yes, that's right. Tomorrow is another recorded session because we are going to be talking to Jacqueline Pierce Dickens and Chris Oakland. We're going to talk about animals and homeopathy from hooves to hens. So we're focusing really on what to do for like food producing animals. I know a lot of you guys live in small spaces, and so we for sure wanted to include some things about hens. And then really homeopathy works for all the animals. It's not like there's chicken only remedies and horse only remedies and people remedies. These are remedies that can be used all over your little homestead animals. And so we talk about that. They're really great. They run homeopathy. Um, what is it? I can't remember. I'll remember tomorrow. And then we're going to end Friday night with Harula Batista. She's so fantastic. She runs a school in Canada, and we're going to be talking about infections, homeopathy, better than antibiotics. All right, guys, that was it. I've had a lot of fun with all the technical challenges. Tomorrow's going to be better, right? Thanks, George, for being with us. Thanks, Michelle, for all your information, all you do to make this happen.